I must say it gives me great pleasure to be talking to an icon out of the UK. This icon is an exceptional talent. I'm happy to talk to this individual today because I know that the information that they can provide to rising stars in business and stars in business can really help them to be transformational, can help them to achieve greater impact because of her knowledge and experience in branding and marketing. In the event that you're wondering who I'm talking about Kitty Lai, and I want to ask you to join me in welcoming Kitty Lai on stage. Hi, Kitty.
Hi, Gary. Thank you so much for having me on the show. And there's so much to live up to the reputation now. I feel under pressure.
No, I must say thank you. It's a tremendous pleasure to be talking with you. And you indeed have such an impeccable record. First of all, you have a Bachelor of Arts in Visual Communication and Graphic Design. That's no easy accomplishment. You manage, your own company, which is Me Brand. We'll talk about that as time progresses. You have been in business for yourself for the last 5 years, but then you have over 25 years of experience in doing what you're doing. That is a lot of history behind what you're doing, Kitty. So I'm so excited to talk with you today. You are a branding packaging specialist. You are a creative director. You're a speaker. You are a mentor. Oh, Kathy, you have a lot going on.
The list goes on.
So, I'm excited to have you in studio. I know you have a lot to share. Kathy, talk to us first of all about what inspired you to become a visual arts specialist. You now have a Bachelor of Arts in Visual Arts and Graphic Design. What was your key motive behind this academic pursuit?
Yeah, firstly, I got my Bachelor of Arts when I was 5. So, I just look very young. I just look very young. No,
Okay.
So my inspiration came from when I actually got my first part-time job, the summer job, working in a packaging factory for Estee Lauder, Aramis, and Clinique. So these luxury beauty brands in my hometown, actually. And I just loved the idea of packaging and design and putting things together. So I was sitting on a line, putting all the makeups in the little packaging and putting the boxes in and seeing it go down the production line. I was getting motion sickness as I was doing it. But it was great to see that, and working for such big brands back in the 90s. It was amazing. So I was still at school then as well. And I just fell in love with design and the love of that, because there wasn't a lot of things, back then about graphic design and becoming designers. There wasn't that much variety. And so I was absolutely thrilled when I did an art foundation, and because before it was about art history and just boring stuff about art, but I just wanted a little bit more. How do you get into the bits where you design the packaging and you design the logos and all that? And so I found a course in Kent and I applied for that, and I loved it. Absolutely loved it. I hated school, but I loved university, and it was amazing. And it's all I wanted to do. Yeah. And I got the opportunity to get work experience whilst I was studying, and they kept calling me back for work experience. And I actually got to design my first logo working for a company. And I was about 20 at the time. Actually, a live project for a girl that had died from meningitis. She was 2, and the only things that were left over were her handprints. And the company asked me to design a logo. It's for a charity, and it's underneath under her name. And what can you do? So I used the handprints and got an illustrator to design her face, a little face, girl's face inside the handprint as part of the logo, the icon logo, and her a lovely script font, Jessica Robin. It was a bull, so it's Jessica Robin Bull. And they put that on the letterheads, the t-shirts, all the things on the campaign. So that was my first, exciting project that I was involved in. And then graduated and started in London, because that's where everyone comes to when you want to have a decent job, a good job, and where all the creativity and excitement was. So I started back in 98, 97, 98, and started working in a graphic design company. Before long, after a year, I decided to join a fashion retail brand called Ted Baker. So I don't know if you've heard of Ted Baker. They're a global brand, and I wanted to be part of fashion. I wanted to be in there. So I got in as a junior designer, worked my way up over the course of 10 years. And by the time I left, I was managing a team of 8 designers. So So I would manage the packaging, the logo, the marketing within the store, so point of sale, things, the window campaigns, and anything that had the Ted Baker name on would come through me. So I would have to sign that off on everything. So, I was a brand guardian for this company. And, by 2008, I was made redundant. The whole crash and everything happened. And, I was on my own, and I started freelancing, and I got my agent involved and found a job at TJX. In UK, we call it TK Maxx. Worked in their head office to work on some of their designs, their in-store products. And after that, freelancing, I was poached by agent to join another company called Cath Kidston. So it's another retail brand with home products, fashion, very vintagey, very British. So polka dots, floral patterns and stuff. And I joined there as the senior packaging designer and worked closely with Cath herself on lots of campaigns and rebranded everything for her. So my first job, I said, I've got to go into your warehouse. I'm going to look at everything you've got in your warehouse, and nothing was consistent. The logo wasn't consistent. Things weren't that, so I brought it together for the brand, and I was there for 6 years. And then I had my little boy during that time. And it was a case of actually doing what I've been doing, working for fashion brands and global brands and other, brands for, by then, about 15, 16 years. I lost the love basically for design. I thought, I don't want to do this. I've got better things to be doing. But do you know what it was, that why I lost the love? It was because I wasn't learning anything. I was passing my knowledge on to the team, my team members and stuff, but I wasn't getting anything back. As a designer, I want to grow, I want to, learn things. And that was what I was lacking. So that's where I lost the love. But 2016, I got introduced to learning about selling on Amazon. FBA Amazon, fulfilled by Amazon. So you've probably heard a lot of people learning to sell on Amazon. That's what I did. But it excited me. My eyes just lit up. It's like, I know about product. I know about launching, I know about launching brands. But the greatest thing was actually that this course taught you how to become a business owner, how to set up a company, how to set up the business, how to get trademarks and all these things that I would never wanted to be a business owner. I just wanted to be creative director. That's it. I don't want to be anything, that just scared me. But this course taught me, actually, it's not that scary. I can do it. And I have done it. And, and it was so fun. My hand was up the whole weekend. It was a 3-day weekend, 3-day learning. I lost my voice day 3 because I couldn't ask any more questions, because I just wanted to know everything about shipping, negotiating with suppliers, getting your brand to launch and marketing it. But I knew all that because I worked within the fashion business, and I knew every single department because I would have a foot in each, in each department as my role as a brand communication manager. So that's where, this new journey of Kitty Lai, that's a bit more confident than she was. There was 2016 was a pivot of, for me, mindset and everything that I thought, I'd spent years learning to be crafting, to be a graphic designer. And it's like, well, I'm not just a graphic designer. So, there was so much more to me, and I was exposed to this new learning. And that's where now I'm absorbing everything. The last 8 years, I've just been absorbing everything. I launched my own organic baby brand at that time, 2017, in the US and UK on Amazon. Bad decision, really bad decision. I invested my own money in it as well. But, it's just sort of learning to run before you can walk. I should have tested at one market. I should have stuck with the UK or the US and just got used to working on the back end, learning to sell on Amazon and be a business. And I just hated it. I hated it. I love creating the products. I love doing the other things. But when you go back end, it's like, that's not me. So
I love that you said test and the market. Only yesterday I released a video that talks about the importance of market stress testing. The mistake that you would have made, it's common. You might be surprised to see how common it is. What we see is that you're excited about the great ideas you have. You think that everybody's as excited as you, and then when you go to market, it's a different reality. But I must say, I love your passion. I love your commitment. You're young and you've accomplished a whole lot so far. Talk to me a little bit about today. You're a specialist. You're a specialist in branding and packaging. Help us to understand what a branding and packaging role is like?
With the branding and packaging role, so you have to have a lot of like creative energy in here and ideas, and I'm always about ideas, and bad idea is there's no bad idea basically. When I go into brainstorms, I talk to my clients and stuff, and they say, oh, I think about this and I'm not sure, and they say, well, just bring it all out, just tell me what you want, what is it you're looking for in any meeting. And you don't clamp down on any idea, because an idea will lead into something else. Even if it's a bad idea, you think, oh, actually I didn't think of that, but let's do it this way. And so being a branding designer and consultant, it's about problem solving, and that's what I really love about what I do, is problem solving for my clients. And that's the challenge that I sort of grasp onto. It's like, oh, what can I do for you? How can I make it look great? How can it sort of be marketed as well? So, there's a lot when it comes to branding, and I just, embrace that.
Awesome. We'll talk just now about Me Brand, but I must say what I've recognized with you, Kitty, is that you are grounded in your field of visual arts and visual communication, but you're also an affluent speaker. And I must say kudos to you, because sometimes we find people that are good in their skills, they have the knowledge, but the ability to effectively articulate themselves around is another thing. But then I looked at your profile, and then I recognized that you're a speaker. And talk to us a little bit about what drives you to become a speaker. Is it natural? Talk to us about that.
See, this is the change in 2016 to 2017. So I started that business for the baby business for and then I joined an academy of 1 year mastermind with the academy for the selling on Amazon. And you have roundtables, you have mentors and stuff, but 6 months in, they made me a mentor because of the knowledge I had. It's like, oh, okay. So then I had to start presenting some keynotes and things with my knowledge, and you only know what you know, and I know a lot about branding and design, and that's this is important for especially Amazon sellers. But I'm not a natural speaker. I hated meetings. I had a team of 8 designers back in Ted Baker. I hated it. It's like, oh, I had to lead a team, and it's not my natural, not my natural thing to speak publicly. But okay, I set myself a challenge. So there was lots of change 2017, 2018, and I got myself a coach, and I wanted to change my business. This is where Me Brand actually was created, was actually to work for people's personal brands. I wanted to work on my personal brand to make myself more visible. If I've got my own business, no one knows me. Who cares if I've been at Ted Baker or whatever? No one knew that. I never used to tell anyone what places I've worked for. And it's like, well, where do I start? So I've got to get more visible. So firstly, I set up my own Facebook group for personal branding. I started interviewing people, the people that have got skills and knowledge. So I thought, I'll test that out. I'll start interviewing people. Then that'll get me out of my comfort zone of being on camera. But the one thing that really really put me into the deep end, and I was like, oh, I would have never dreamed of doing it, was I went with another coach, and I flew out to the States actually to get coached by him with speaking and stuff. And it was really great, because 3 days after that, I would be on a cruise ship speaking to an audience of Amazon sellers,
Wow.
presenting about design and packaging. But I planned that like 7 months before. I didn't even know what I was going to get myself into. I just wanted to get this speaking slot because I met some guy in Miami who organized the biggest Amazon meetup in Florida. And I happened to be on a girl's holiday, ditched them on a Saturday night. I ditched my girlfriends on our birthday holiday. I said, I'm just going to go to this Amazon sellers event and meet these people. So I did that and met Carlos, who actually was organizing this cruise ship networking and learning event. And he was looking for speakers, and I thought, I was back in the UK, and so I reached out. Do you remember this crazy Chinese English girl that came to this meetup in April? I want to come onto the cruise ship and talk in January. So we had a chat, and he realized, there's a lot of value that you could give. And the only thing he could say was no. And my coach at the time said, just go for it. I was like, okay, let's ask. And he said yes. So then that was like, okay, what am I going to speak at? And it was about, let's compose now. How do I get speaking and practicing? And this, I went with a coach called JT Fox, and he was out in Fort Myers. I went on a weekend with a lot of other people to be coached by him, and it was about the speaking. He made me stand in front of the coach class. There was must be about 30, 40 people. Right, do your pitch, Kitty. Hi, I'm Kitty Lai. I'm a branding, and then I stumbled. I guess, okay, start again. He made me do it quite a few times, and then he gave me lots of tips like, no, you're winging it, Kitty. You're winging it. You need to practice. You need to do this. Rein it in. You speak well, but you're winging it. I thought, oh, you're right. You're right. And I've got my presentation on the cruise ship in 3 days' time. So I was going to go from Fort Myers down to Miami and get straight onto this cruise ship. I already volunteered myself. I'm going to be the first speaker up, which I did. But his advice, I had 2 days to get my head around to this presentation, and it was fine. It was absolutely, I was up there, did the speech, did the presentation. I was not nervous and stuff like that. I usually get the heart palpitations, like, you get sweaty, and it's fine. I worked the room, said hello to everyone. I wasn't thinking too much about it because I had prepared, and that was the one thing, and that's the one takeaway I've learned, is to be prepared and practice. And I practiced like hell. But as you do your first one, it gets easier and easier. And I've done my fourth presentation on the cruise ships. I was there this January again, talking about other things in business and branding and design. So it's just getting in front of the camera and just having that mindset change. It's like, actually, what have you got to lose? And that was my coach one was, they can only say no, and don't care what everyone thinks. And lesson number 2 was practice made perfect. And yeah, that's where I am, and that's how I am now. So it's, yeah.
Well, I love that. So the rest is history. In terms of, love that. Kitty, you're also a mentor. Can you talk to us about what motivated you to become a mentor, and what has that experience been like for you in refining who you are as a person?
Yeah, so I've always led a team, and I've always nurtured them and mentored them in a way that, let's do things this way. And I just pass on my knowledge and do things I think is right, and learn from the bad things that my predecessors have done. Like, that's not how you run a team and whatever. I just do it the way that I think is right, and the right way to do it. And I think it's the same way as mentoring. It's actually it's again, problem solving, and it's working with their challenge and what is it they need to go through. And sometimes it's giving that advice and think, oh, I didn't think of that. And I have been around a while now, so like 25 plus years. I've seen different characters. I've worked with a lot of different types of people, and I've seen a lot of similar challenges. And it's, when I mentor somebody, it's about, what is your struggle? What can we get you through? And often as a person, you won't know, you're stuck and you don't know why. And you have to find an outsider to tell you why. And, it's the same with me. I'm stuck. I was stuck on speaking and other things. And, you need someone else to tell you what was wrong. And put you in that difficult hotspot position. And I think being a mentor is guiding someone to get to where they need to be, and I enjoy doing that. I don't do it often, but I really do relish when people think, oh yeah, that's what I needed, and that's what and I get a lot of satisfaction when I can help somebody.
I love that. Kitty, I've looked at some of your work, and I must say I'm so impressed with what I've seen. You have a slogan that you use: elevating brand presence through design solution. Help us to interpret that statement: elevating brand presence through innovative design solution.
Yeah, so for me, it's always about, as a designer, it's always trying to create something new and not copying what everyone else is doing. And that seems, when I'm working with brand owners and things, that they've created their own design, they've gone onto Canva, or nothing wrong with Canva or wherever, and it's like, oh, that's like a cookie cutter solution. And I see a lot of design that is like, it doesn't have the the professionalism, or it won't elevate you to a particular level. It's like, it's so samey as somebody else's brand. And for me, it's creating a brand that is completely different, that it has its own unique mark and identity, and it's actually building the whole brand identity. A lot of people just have a logo and that's it. They think that's your brand, and that's not the case. A brand is about the experience, what you get from the audience and what they feel, so like unboxing something. That's the brand experience. Like, oh, I love this tissue paper. I love the feel of the material. It's that's already creating the brand, experience. And, that's what a brand is about, being recognizable. It's the tone of voice where, the brand speaks to you. It's how they speak to you on social media, on marketing. And there's so much more, just a logo. And I think I'm going down a rabbit hole now. But yeah, so for me, it's trying to be unique and setting yourself apart. And that's what I try to do with my business, and try to educate my clients as well in that way. And that's why they come to me, because, oh, I'm a bit stuck. I'm not making any more sales. I'm losing sales. In fact, what is it, am I doing wrong? So then I thought, actually, let me do a little brand audit and we'll see, and then it's like evident, well, that's where they're going wrong. And I can see automatically the logo is not quite right, or the way they're speaking to the audience, there's a disconnect. There's no consistency across all the marketing channels. When I work with clients, I sign up to their emails. I want to see what they're talking about. I don't want to know what they're doing. What's my first experience as a customer? If I sign up and then there's this bland email that comes and it has no tone of voice, or it doesn't even have a logo. Oh, I'm signing up to this brand that looked really professional on the website, but it's like, oh, the aftercare doesn't seem that, special. So there's lots of things when you create a brand, you have to think beyond just the logo and the packaging. It's much more than that.
Yeah, I mean, building the brand is represents every moving part of that business ecosystem. Again, I must say it's a tremendous pleasure to be talking to you. What I've seen in the social media platform world, various academic institutions, we have a number of brand specialists. And what I see happen sometimes is that they have difficulty defining what is the brand. And let me give a few examples. There are some intellectual authors that I would hear say things like, the brand is what the public says about you. But the way they make that statement is as though you, the designer, you, the innovator, you, the business leader, have no control and influence how the ideal client is responding to that brand. I tend to have a different perspective, and you're going to chime in on this. I believe that your effort to build a brand should be based on you taking the time to do the research and to identify your ideal client, their needs, wants, and expectations.
Yeah.
And it is based on understanding that ideal client. You are now innovating a brand to reach those expectations based on their demographics, factors, based on psychographic factors that influence the brand. You agree with that?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's about the demographics, their behaviors, and you need to hone in on a niche, on who you're talking to. It's not that to everyone. You really need to know who your audience is, and it is really honing down on what their hobbies are, what their passions are. Do they have environmental concerns? What is it about the brand? There are so many things that you do, and you're absolutely right. It's not just about just talking to it via the marketing and whatever. There is so much more in building a brand identity, and that's where all the values come in. Your mission, your statement, your vision, all that, it all comes together.
Yeah. And it's not necessarily about you in terms of your ego and what you want to give. It's about you taking the time to really know people and innovate in this and that. Brilliantly said, Kitty. Kitty, I want to talk a little bit about Me Brand. You have started Me Brand perhaps about 5 years or a little over 5 years now.
Yeah.
Talk to us about what are the project activities that Key Brand is involved with, and how can the general public benefit from what you're doing?
Yeah, so there's two sides of Me Brand. Actually, Me Brand started as a personal branding service. It was for me actually, but it was to help others to build on their personal branding. So I have helped quite a few people with their personal branding, their website, their actual branding itself when they market it to clients and their audience. But my actual passion is more about packaging and the branding side, and helping brand owners create something unique through design and visual communication. So for me, Me Brand is all about evoking emotions and creating that actual brand experience for customers. And I have different types of clientele, but generally they do want packaging design, and for some reason that's the one thing they need. And brand guidelines. We have a lot of clients that have brands but just don't have the brand identity or anything behind it So they're kind of working backwards. And also my ideal clients are people who know nothing about design or nothing about branding, and they are, you know, really great to work with as well. And, you know, they just leave everything quite open and creative. But what I do with Me Brand is actually guide my clients through the process as well. So they actually understand and learn about it. It's not just, I'm going to create your design and this is it. It's more than that. I sometimes hold their hand if they don't know which direction they're going in. And also I give them so much more ideas than just a design of a box or a packaging thing. It's like, have you thought about this on your marketing? Have you thought about this on social media? Have you thought, you know, and it's more than that than just, you know, the one thing they've asked me. I generally give value to them. It's like, because I've worked, you know, in the marketing side of things as well. So for me, it's like, well, it's not just about making the website look great. Have you, and what does your social media look like? It just, you're not saying anything. And, you know, the way your brand is appealing to the audience, it isn't. You know, that's why no one's looking at your website properly. And there's so much more to getting your brand visibility. So I help them in that way as well.
I love that. And I love what you're saying, you know, because some people run away with the falsified notion that the brand, it's about a logo, you know, and of course the logo helps as one of your identifiable markers.
Yeah.
But it goes way beyond that. What I also love, Kitty, is that you spend some time deeply involved with personal branding, which I believe that depending on where you are in the world, many companies tend to place a lot of emphasis on the corporate brand. Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
But limited emphasis on the personal branding. And what we are seeing is that from personal branding, you get influencers, you get social media influencers, and because they come with influence, it means that they have an audience base that can play a tremendous role in optimizing visibility, optimizing reach and impact and client conversion and cash flow optimization. From your vantage point, how important is personal branding in the whole ecosystem of doing business?
Right. So I do get asked this every now and then about corporate branding and personal branding, and it really depends on what you want. And I meet a lot of brand owners that they've worked behind the brand for a long time and they don't want to be visible. And, you know, sometimes it is nice to see behind the scenes, but some really do not want to be seen, which is fine.
Visible, yeah.
So you build the personality around your brand. It's about the brand at the end of the day. And you know, Richard Branson built Virgin, but he has his own brand, but he's got the house of brands, a Virgin and everything. So, you know, but having a personal brand is much more successful than just hiding behind a brand. So it really depends what type of business you have. So I think if you're forward facing, client facing, then that is your personal brand. So you should really sort of work on that for people that have businesses, whether they're a real estate agent or something, or, you know, they have to be part of, you know, the front end of the brand. I think it's really important. For me, I am Me Brand. I do talk about Me Brand a lot, but Kitty Lai is the personal brand for Me Brand. So, you know, I build my repertoire and my reputation, and I talk about Me Brand, which is my business. But, you know, a lot of it, if you're on my social media, you'll see me. But, you know, I have a small little team in the background of doing things. No one wants to be in front of the camera apart from me. But, you know, it's how it really depends on business to business, and there are ways around it, and you don't have to be. Although there is always that, you know, people have that mystery and they want to know who the person behind the brand is. And saying that, I worked for Ted Baker for 10 years, and Ted Baker's not a real person. So we created I didn't create the brand, but we worked with this fictional character, Ted Baker, but he would go on his travels, he'll do these things, he has these passions, you know, so he is the brand, Ted Baker. Ray Calvin is actually the founder of Ted Baker. He's got his own character and in his own unique way, but it was Ted Baker. He's building a fashion brand, a global fashion brand, but people fell in love. You always get asked, is Ted Baker real? You know, and I said, yeah, he's real. So, you know, for me, he's real in my head because I made him real, and everyone else in the business say he's real, and we couldn't say otherwise. But yeah, so you make it as real as it can be and have a character.
And Ted Baker has a legal identity that makes it as real as real.
Absolutely, yeah.
Beautiful. Beautiful. I do love personal branding because what I do believe with personal branding, it works several ways. For example, you might be the face of the brand, but in cases where you don't want to be the face of the brand, I think this is where subcontracting comes in. For example, Nike is Jordan, but then Jordan, he doesn't own Nike, but
No.
his his whole personality and the credibility that he comes with,
Yeah.
he's able to push that brand forward. I do believe that working with strong personal brand, strong personality, it really helps businesses, especially at the beginning stage, to break through that know, like, and trust. Because what
Mm.
we have seen is that when you're launching a new product, if no one knows you, they don't have a reason to like you. And
Yeah.
if they don't have a reason to like you, they don't trust you. And
Yeah.
if they don't trust you, they don't invest with you. So I find that, the influencers play a very significant role. Personal branding plays a very significant role in breaking through the cycle faster. Go ahead, Kitty.
Yeah, no, so no, you're absolutely right. And it's just something that came to mind actually. But we're always building our personal brand, whether you're in business or not. Just at school, at work, you should always be yourself. And that is your personal brand, to be authentically yourself. But what came to mind actually was when I was in that 2017 period when I had that baby brand, I went to a networking meeting with mums, and they're all mums in business. I all went along, and you network and say, oh, what do you do and stuff. So I started saying, oh, I'm a graphic designer. I do this and it kind of like people's faces were like, okay, you're not a designer. It's like, it's a bit boring, but there's nothing special. I'm a designer. So then I split tested it. So then the next group of people asked me, oh, so what do you do and what's your background? It's like, I'm a designer, but I used to work for Ted Baker and Kath Kidston. And the response was like, okay, so all of a sudden I've elevated my presence, my personal brand to a different level than the graphic designer down here to a manager and a person that worked for these brands they've heard of. And it's so different. I hate name dropping, but I thought, oh, let me just test this and see. And it was amazing, the reaction that they had. And it was just very interesting. So it's, sometimes it helps to name drop, or, the things that you work with and the brands you work with. I say, don't hide away, because that's what I've been doing for years. You never used to tell anyone what I did or worked, or, and it's helped me along my way, to be honest. It's like, oh, you've worked for them and this, and okay. Yeah, you have to build your credibility. And that's what building your personal brand is all about, is being recognized and having, going on, if you're on LinkedIn, get those recommendations, ask your colleagues and ask people that have worked with you, get those in. And because people do read them, and it's important to build your credibility. And I think it's definitely an important thing, especially if you have your own business.
Beautifully said. Kitty, as I look at your profile, you are also a podcaster. You are an educator. Talk to us about what you do as an educator. What is that experience like for you?
Yeah, so for me, it's just getting design, the idea and the passion that I have about design and branding out there. I want every brand on the shelf to look great. I want everything on Amazon to look great, and I want people to really understand that it matters. It's not about hiring your next door neighbor's son who does graphic design to design a logo for you, or go on Fiverr.com. Nothing wrong with Fiverr.com, but I think, it's really valuing design and stuff and really understanding it. And I educate a lot of people in that way. And I talk about a lot of sustainability and environmental things, working with packaging and materials, which is, one of my passions as well. A lot of the podcasts and things I go on is talk about packaging and the branding side of things. And everyone's interested because there's no one that really talks about it in the detail and depth that I do. People know about branding. Yeah, they know about brand identity or some sort of the top line things. But I can go deep, and I design myself. So I understand from concept all the way through to production onto a shelf. I understand the whole process. So for me, my deep understanding is that's how I can help educate people. It's like, it's not just, oh yeah, you can design something in half an hour. It's not. There is much more thought to when it comes to design, and especially when it's you want to be professional. At the end of the day. Yeah.
Love that. Kitty, I want to look now at habits that can push you forward in business and in life, or habits that can hold you back. Today, you have a lot of success under your belt. You are a successful graphic designer. You are a successful visual communicator through your artwork. You are a public speaker. You are a mentor. You have so much under your belt. You a mom and a rising star in business. To get to this point of success, what are habits that you had to own to position yourself to be as successful as you are today?
I think it's habits. I would say definitely planning and actually being really sort of disciplined. I think that's the main thing. I mean, I work from home now, so you have to be very disciplined. You know, I work literally 9 to 5, or nine to more than 9 to 5 actually, because I work US hours as well. But yeah, and be a mom as well. But I use every single hour. I'm not going shopping. I've moved back to my hometown last year, and I've only been into the town like twice or 3 times in a whole year, actually 14 months. And my sister's like, she lives, you know, in the same hometown. She's like, how can you really been into the town like, you know, 3 times? Well, I don't go shopping. I'm working. Weekends is, you know, I'm at home doing things. But, you know, I'm very disciplined in what I do, and I don't have time. So it's really sort of putting goals in place for every year. I sort of like, what am I working on this year? What am I working on next year? And I have a VA. We plan things together and we work things in advance. So like blog, I have a blog as well. I do email marketing to my my audience, which is a new thing this year. Like I said, I'm definitely going to have to do more email marketing, and that's working, you know. And last year or the few years is getting more visibility and getting more traction back into the business, because I was distracted with another business venture until recently. So it's there's a lot of things that you need to plan out, and it won't happen overnight. This year, right, this time last year, I was telling my VA, let's get my YouTube running, let's get it all ready. It's all been set up for like 8 months, and I said, I'm going to start interviewing, I'm going to do a podcast, and I had all these ideas, and it's not quite come to light yet with the podcast. I have lots of ideas of what I will have on the podcast, but it's making sure you're sensible and not just putting yourself into too many things. And that's what I'm not doing. I'm not spreading myself thinly. I have to concentrate. I know it will happen, but it's working way in advance of where I want to be. And, you know, I'm taking, you know, I'm busy with clients as well. So you have to be very sensible in where you set yourself. But again, you know, so habits would be just being disciplined. I guess I get in a habit of actually talking to a lot of people, networking, and communicating with other people, and not feeling like I'm alone. I never feel like I work on by myself or anything, but because I'm always surrounded by people, and I always feel like I work with clients, I communicate, we have podcast, you know, we have Zoom meetings, I'm out networking. So it's really getting into the habit of business, especially if you have your own business. A lot of people feel like they're alone all the time. I thought, I don't feel alone. You know, I kind of, maybe I have got into that habit of just making sure that my mind's not, you know, stuck. I'm learning, I'm doing things, and yeah. So I think, yeah, that's a good habit.
I like that. I like that.
Too much.
Love that. How would you define success?
Okay, so success is defined in yourself and what you think is successful. So for me, you have mini successes. There's not the big, I'm not going for the big success, because that will happen. So you go for tiny mini successes. So what's your success for this week? Or what's the success for this month or this quarter? So you kind of set yourself little goals in terms of, have you hit those? And what have I done? And, you know, I had a mini success, you know, my mini success recently, probably last year actually, was like, oh, I said, well, I always ask my clients, where did you find me? And I said, oh, I saw you in a podcast. Oh, okay, that worked. And a lot of my clients come through podcasts. And then recently, someone saw my email, one of my email newsletters. How did you find me? I got an email from you. Hold on a minute. That's only been going on for like, the last 4 months. And so it's really sort of worked. So those are mini successes. Someone actually read my email and clicked on the link. You know, I can see the stats anyway. That, you know, that's the success that I want, is to get more visibility, is get more traction. And, you know, there's much more I can still do, but it's, you know, making a start in that direction. So those are my successes, is finding those clients that see me on the channels that I don't expect them to see me. So yeah.
Yeah, and I love what you do. You know, you're tracking where the visibility is coming from, so you know what works and what doesn't work. So you could, you know, optimize your time with what works. So that's a brilliant move. What I want to ask you to do now is to share with us what is your blueprint for success. You have so many success under your belt. Do you have a formula? Do you have a blueprint? I would love to hear.
My blueprint, I don't know if I got a blueprint. I have lots of little goals and things, but I think it's being positive and confident in yourself and knowing that you can do it. So I think it's all in here. So my blueprint is telling myself that actually, if you're not doing it, someone else is going to do it, and someone else is going to get your clients if you're not doing it. And I think it's being positive and understanding that there is enough fish in the sea for you to work with. You might have a competitor doing the same thing as you. Don't get set back. Yeah, they might be charging less than you, but that's not you. I charge the prices I charge because I know my quality, my value. But it's really making sure that you're confident in yourself and what you can deliver, what you can do. I've proven that. I know I do. I get a lot of referrals from people that work with me. For that's success. You know, some people have worked with me and they know how I work. But yeah, I think generally I've always maintained positivity, and that's the one thing that you should always keep going. You know, I've been made redundant twice, and it's like, that's a good thing, and it's like, let's start again, let's get the ball rolling again. And I think people don't, when you get knocked back, just get up and really just give it a go. And it's like, you know, you get knocked back for a reason, and you get tested, right? And you have to just keep going. And I do a lot of manifestation every now and then, and it works. So
awesome. No, I love that manifestation. What is that experience like for you? You know, I've looked at this video, The Secrets, and you know, they went deep into, you know, best practices around manifestation. And you know, when I first saw that video, I was so touched by that video. Perhaps because I'm so deep into research and on data. Listen to me. I have no doubt that manifestation works.
Yeah.
But I can't tell you how it works. It works.
Yeah.
Right? But talk to me.
No, I was really skeptical before. I was like, nah, it doesn't work. And I actually tried it, and it actually does work. I did it with this house. I told you I moved house last year, and we actually lost this house 3 times because we weren't ready to sell the first time. It was somebody already reserved this house. Oh, okay. And we came to see this house, and we had hard hats on. They were still putting windows and things in here. And I thought, oh no, it's not meant to be. We hadn't even put our house on the market. How can we move this house? And someone had already reserved it. I thought, okay, well, they're building 2 more down the road, and it'll be fine. And then the people who reserved this weren't in a position to buy it anymore. So the agents called us. Oh, the house is back. Oh, okay. We haven't got a buyer now. Our house is on the market, but we haven't got a buyer yet. And then they gave us a week, and then we lost the house again. I was like, oh God, okay, it's okay. They still got two more houses they're building down the road, but for the next year. And I was already like a bit disappointed. I thought, I'm going to I'm going to visualize. I'm actually living there. I've actually moved in. I know what I'm going to have in the room. I'm doing all this and stuff. And lo and behold, we went on holiday on October. We had a buyer for our house. And then for some reason, at that same time, they said this house was back in the market. We had lost it twice or 3, you know, already. And it's like, how is it, you know, because they said someone had reserved it again. It's like, oh no. Yeah. So it was ours. It was meant to be. I really manifest the hell out of it. You know, it's like, I've moved in, you know, I have my room, and this, you know, and you know, I'm in here now, you know. So it works.
Wow. Yeah, it works. I had a similar experience when I purchased my first home also, but I share that experience in the next interview.
Sure.
I love that. I want the spotlight to be on you today. So it's all about you.
All right.
Kitty, you know, it's fun talking with you. What I recognize happened, however, is that as we talk about success, I think sometimes being young, the younger person tend to believe that success is all about the up and up. Sometimes there's the down and down, and there's the in between. I would love for you to share with us, you know, what are some of the challenges you had to overcome to be where you are today?
Okay, so the challenges I've had to overcome to be where I am today is that literally going back a book back, going back on the bookshelf, my previous life, when I was made redundant at Ted Baker. So I was previously married, but I was financially abused. So whatever I worked for the whole of my life, entire life, he literally sucked me dry and everything. I was literally left with nothing. We moved, then I was made redundant, moved house, then I left him, and then divorced him. And because I thought, this can't go on because I cannot sustain anything. And, you know, I was getting bailiffs on the door, I was getting people, and it's like, I have nothing, you know, and luckily my redundancy package paid for all everything. I was no longer in the red. And then, you know, I was getting divorced. I thought, you know, I cannot, this is not my life. And that was, you know, I worked so hard, you know, 15 years working hard. And then I have nothing to show for it, you know, from a manager, you know, a head of graphics, you know, level. And so I was back on the job center looking for work because I'd been made redundant for, what do I do? And, you know, so I've been rock bottom with nothing. I had to start again. It was almost like I'm about to lose my house. But fortunately, I had my dad, you know, my parents to help me a little bit. But I had to start from rock bottom thinking, man, I'm in the gutter. I still have a roof over my head, but I need work. I need money to start it. Where I said that positive mindset, I've always thought I can find money. I will always find money. In my head's always been there. So I thought I will find money. And so that's where the TK Maxx job, the freelance job came in. And then agent called me for another job, and it's just up and up and up. So I thought, well, if I've been at the bottom, can't go any further down. I'll just carry on going up. So that's where I am.
Up.
Yeah, you just go up and up.
Yeah.
So that's where I am. So in terms of, finance, money is just a tool. It's something you need. It's a necessity, but it's not everything. I still had a roof. I still had my life. I still had my health. But I could still do things. And I thought, well, I'm still young. But I was 35 then. So I was like, well, I can still work and do the things that I'm good at because I know I'm good at it. And that's where a lot of things, I thought I just have to smash it and do what I'm best at doing. And that's where I am. How many years later? 14, I don't know how many years later, 20, I don't know. It's like 24 years later. No, can't remember. 2010 was like the old book went on the shelf and then the new book came down. And
Okay.
Yeah, 14 years ago. Yeah. So it's been a time and I'm still climbing. So, working from scratch is a no feat for me. It's like I can do it.
But I must congratulate you, through all the up and up and the in between, the down and down and the up and up. It doesn't look as though you're aging at all because if I'm to put those numbers if I'm to put those numbers together, that means you're doing something good. Something is definitely agree with you.
Positivity.
Keep doing
it.
Positivity.
Happiness. Happiness. I've always thought happiness, smile, and positivity will get you where you need to go.
I love that. All right. We're about to wrap up. I just have a few more questions for us to go through. But I want to ask you next, do you have any regret that you think is holding you back or pushing you forward?
Any regrets? I've never lived with regret, actually. Things happen because they just happen. So, with the old shelf, the old book, it happened. I don't regret it. It was my life. I lived it. I was conscious when I did it. And I just move along. And I think you should not live life with regret. Obviously, things happen. You learn from your mistakes and you don't do them again.
Exactly.
So that's
exactly.
where I would think, yeah.
What inspired you to become an influencer in your industry? You are an influencer. My team, approach me. They say, hey, this is a strong personality. I've been interfacing with you for some time now, and I've learned that, I've been studying your platform. Also, you are an influencer. What really inspired you to want to be an influencer in your industry?
I didn't think I was. I'm just doing me. I don't know. I guess it's passion. It's just enjoy. The thing is, I think it's because I don't feel like it's work. And that's the main thing, is when you do something you love and passionate about, it doesn't feel like work. And obviously I just want to build visibility, and that's what I think I'm doing. But if it's an influence, then that's great. And I do try to spread a message about design and stuff and things that I've learned, things where I'm networking. And I guess I want people to learn as well. And I think that's, I guess that's the kind of influence I'm trying to give other people, that you can do it, and I think it's giving people that opportunity to think, actually, she's Chinese, I can do it. If I'm Chinese, then, you don't see that many Chinese people that, doing what I do, especially if they're English with that accent like mine. I confuse people when I'm in America. It's like, oh, she's English. So cool. Yeah, you're
very fluid, which is good, pretty good. All right. What impact do you want to make, and how do you want to be remembered?
How do I want to be remembered? I don't know. I guess I want to be remembered like not taking things too seriously. I think, I love what I do. I like what I do. And, I think being remembered is, I guess, it's spreading that message of, well, kindness, firstly, and positivity. And I think that's how I want people to sort of live their life and not think, oh, people have bad days. We all have bad days and stuff. But, you can get over that. And I think it's just making sure that people can change the way they are. And I think what I try to do when I speak to people that I've met and stuff, and it's like, oh, I could never do what you do. It's like, what? The public speaking thing. I met this guy recently, and he had a team of his team with him at this networking event, and he goes, God, I could never do public speaking. But he looked like he was very capable of it. I thought, it's just in there. You can easily do it. I did it. I'm like the really shy Chinese girl at school, I did it. I hated it, for like it took me like 30 odd years to realize that I could do it. And I think, I think everyone can do it. So I think taking away from this, it's like, put your mindset to it, you can do it.
Exactly. What major plan do you have for Me brand for the future? What major plans do you see coming in the future? Do you plan to expand beyond the UK market? Do you plan to integrate into global markets? Talk to us a little bit about your future plans.
Yeah, so I already work with global clients. A lot of my clients are US based actually. And I work with global clients in Asia, India and stuff. So there's no set, I work from home anyway. I have a small team that I work with if, when it gets really busy. But the idea is to grow it. The idea is to be less hands-on. But I do love doing what I do. Before I was managing teams, so I was directing a lot and I wasn't designing so much. So I missed that. But now I'm back in designing properly and I do love that. But I also have a team that I can tell, can you do this, and this, exactly how I instruct them. And I guess it's building that team to be more successful. We're just a small studio at the moment, but I want it to be much bigger than that and grow it where I can.
Awesome. I have two more questions. The next question I want to ask you, how important is access to capital for you as you think about your expansion plan, expanding further into the UK, in the US and other parts of the world? How important is access to capital for you?
Having access to capital, I guess it is important for any brand that wants to grow. So it really depends how big you want to grow. So, having some capital, I can build a bigger team, but I don't employ anyone. I do outsource a lot. So it's being comfortable with that as well. So it's like, it's putting a business plan really together. If I want to grow a team much bigger than I can actually handle, or am I actually happy with where I currently am? I'm quite happy and comfortable, but I have plans to grow that in the next 5 years. So, it's just really making sure that plans are in place where I use that capital properly and sensibly.
Great. Now, two things. I'll talk to you some more about that growth plan and what we call the 20/80 rule, because we believe that with the 20/80 rule, you can maintain your lifestyle because you're just spoken on 20% of the pie and the 80% can be delegated. This is in the context of Peter Drucker. Peter Drucker is one of the greatest management minds the world has ever known. And one of the things that I learned about him while at Cambridge is that there's a difference between the executive and the executive. You are the executive and you build a team of executors around you. I'll talk to you about that. Also on the financial part, we'll talk some more about that, because what we do from the US standpoint, we help businesses in 50 states to access capital. So whether it's access to debt or equity, credit or creative financing, we have a network of financial institutions that we are collaborating with to ensure that we can help our community to get access to the funds that they need to grow. So we have some talking to do. So we have some talking to do, real talk. And the last question I want to ask you, Kitty, is what are essential money habits to have?
What are essential money habits to have? Don't do what I did back then, like 15 years ago. Yeah. Don't be too trusting with your money. Be in control, I guess. Money habits. I have an accountant. I have an accountant, so they do all my finance, and I have a financial advisor actually. So it's just really being sensible with your money, and making sure that you're comfortable with it as well. So yeah.
Awesome. All right, Cassie. Is there anything that you might have wanted to say that I did not ask you? I want to give you an opportunity to say it now.
Yeah. Well, you need another hour, I think. No, I'm all good. It's been a pleasure to be on your show. So I hope I've inspired some of your audience at least today.
I'm certain that you did. And Kitty, I must say it has been such a pleasure talking with you. I've learned so much from you, and I know this is only the first, but we're going to be doing this more frequently, because anything that we can do to help you to get the visibility, to reach the impact, the client conversion, I'm there with you. All right, so I want to thank you for taking the time out to be with us today and sharing your story.
Thank you very much, Gary. It's been a pleasure.